welcome to the Uplifting Content Podcast. I'm your host and the founder of Uplifting Content, Ione Butler. And in each episode, I'll be speaking to a special guest about a topic that we hope will inspire and uplift you. Enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing today? Every Tuesday, I do an interview, usually with a really phenomenal guest. Last Tuesday, the Tuesday just gone, I had an amazing chat with this woman called Dr. Andrea Pennington. She is a gem. I absolutely love her. We spoke about, who we really are, finding our authentic self. We're both on a very similar mission, just sort of helping to connect people, remind them of just, be you, do you, and just inspire and uplift. And so that was a really fantastic, wonderful conversation. She is a ledge. So shout out to that. You can listen to those on the podcast, and you can watch the videos. There's videos all over the internet. Who we got? Hi, Leo. Hi, Josh. Hi, Jeff. It's the crew. Loving it. The crew are here. So today I wanted to speak to you about an event that I had last week called the Best You Expo. Also wanted to chat to you about an event I went to yesterday and may go back to this afternoon with Chris Voss, who is a former FBI hostage negotiator. That is badass. And then I'd love to chat to you about what's going on with you, take some questions, just see what's going on in your world, have a little natter. So first of all, what's up? For anyone that doesn't know, I've been running Uplifting Content for about a couple of years now. There's been lots of changes with Facebook algorithms. So if you like the page and you want to see uplifting content in your newsfeed, if you go to the top, hit following, and then see first, that means you'll see posts from us sometimes, because otherwise you won't see anything. But with those recent changes, it's changed a lot to the business structure. There wasn't really much of a business structure before. It was basically just me trying to provide a platform and uplifting content to help people and inspire people and just to connect and chat. But because of the recent changes, that dropped off. And so it forced me to really find alternative ways and figure out other things that I want to do with the company. So it's great, as much as it was stressful and I was angry and I hate on Facebook all the time, without that, it wouldn't have forced me out of my comfort zone. So that's one key thing that I'd like us to know is when we are faced with these challenges, things that we are really stressed out about, recognize that thing is kind of forcing you to grow and learn and sort of shaping your trajectory somewhere else. And for me, it's been something better. And it really can be, depending on how you take that setback or obstacle or hardship or whatever. There's always something you can grow and learn from. And the thing is, we don't like change. We're creatures of comfort. The only thing constant is change. And so to be stressed by things changing, yes, it's stressful, but I think it just forces us to kind of up our game and figure out what's going on and just learning and growing. So one of the things that I moved into was speaking. And I was at an event this weekend, the Best You Expo. I was very worried about it, had doubted myself a lot. I'd actually canceled an event previously because I just didn't feel good enough to get on stage and talk to anybody. And I went and did the event and I had an absolute blast. I'm really, really glad that I went. I'm really glad that I got up and did it. And that's what I just wanted to talk to you guys today about that a little bit, because a lot of the topic of my conversation was about the things that we think about ourselves. I'm not good enough. The only reason I'm not where I want to be with anything is because I've had those doubts and limiting beliefs about myself that have been holding me back. And I know that I'm definitely not alone feeling that way. And sometimes the issue is we don't even realize that those thoughts are there, but they're having such a profound impact on everything. So if you've got that niggling belief that I'm not good enough, I'm not attractive enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not anything enough, I'm not whatever it is that limiting belief that's niggling away at there, that is impacting everything that you're doing on a subconscious level. And you might not even realize that it's happening. And it's about, I think the key thing is to, with everything that I talk a lot about depression, talk a lot about, just feeling uplifted and whatever things that are going on with us. For me, the key thing is observing the thoughts that you're having and disidentifying from the thoughts that you're thinking. And what I mean by that is recognizing that you are not the thoughts. You are the thinker of the thoughts. You are the thing that is observing the thoughts. And so when you can get into this, when you can shift this pattern, and the first really real revelation for me was reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The first time I realized, oh my God, those things that tell me I'm shit and that I'm never going to make it and that my life sucks and nobody's going to love you and you're going to die alone. All of those things are not true. They're not me, and I can change them. And when I recognized that, everything in my life changed. Now, sometimes they creep back in. Sometimes I forget. I forget that, and I become consumed by thoughts. Lately, I'm in this situation where someone that is a friend has stopped talking to me because I had to make her aware of something. It sounds really weird. I can't be bothered to go into the whole story. But she said that I was aggressive and rude, right? And so I've been like replaying this conversation and like having it's all ego-based stuff, right? I'm getting all consumed. I'm having these little fights with her in my head. Does anyone do that? Does anyone like have arguments with people in your head? This is what I mean about when you start to identify with the thinking again, when you lose track, because by doing that, having this imaginary argument in my head, I am identifying with my thoughts. I am then taking myself out of this moment and making a bunch of stupid stuff up in my head, and believing that as if that's a thing or that's something that I want to happen or whatever. And so I lose it sometimes. I lose myself a little bit when I'm, stressed or whatever, and I go back into those places. So I think the practice and the thing that is really worth trying and working on is whenever you have these, someone had an angry face. I'd love to know what the angry face was about. I don't get the loves and the things on this and the flowers, because it doesn't really make sense, because it says I've only got 3 and then I just saw like 10 pop up. And one of them was an angry face. So I'm curious to know what the angry face is. And it says I've only got 4 comments. Oh no, yeah, that's fine. There's only 4 comments. I lose myself. I'm sorry guys. I'm just like a complete scatterbrain sometimes. It's easy to lose yourself and kind of come out of this practice. So what I would say is just being mindful of all the things that you're thinking. When you are feeling that you are not doing something, holding back on something, identify the thought that's going on with that. There's resistance to it for some reason, and you want to kind of get to the foundation of what that resistance is. And then once you kind of recognized it, then it's doing the work to change it and reframe it. I'm lucky enough to have a really good network of people. One in particular person is my friend called Adam Sadiq, and who has a fantastic book called Shackled, by the way, which I want to become it's a fantastic book. Oh gosh, I really do digress. Forgive me. But he is like my cheerleader and gives me such great advice, and he sees potential in me that I don't always see. And I want to get better at being able to see my own potential. But when you don't have it, I think it's really important to be around people that can see your potential, or just be around people that you can get ideas from to go, I can do that. Because what was happening was I was surrounded by people that are doing phenomenal things. I just didn't think I was worthy enough of doing them myself. And so that was not very helpful. It was Adam kind of planting that seed in me going, you can do this. You are doing this, step up, step into this. Then I believed it myself. And then I started doing the things and felt good about it. You want to feel good about the things you're doing. So if you're not going to feel good when you tell yourself you suck at it, you're not good enough, you're worthless, like that doesn't feel good. So then shift those stories. I am competent. I am making a difference. What's important is that I'm doing the work and growing and learning from it. I'm not going to right now, I'm not going to focus on the outcome. I'm just going to focus on getting up every day, being consistent, learning from this, growing from this, getting better. Even if I'm speaking to 2 people, if I'm speaking to 1,000 people, I'm just going to keep learning and growing and getting something from every experience, right? Because I think the issue that we have in this world of sort of social media and everything like that is sometimes we need instant validation. We need the thousands of likes and the millions of views. And if we don't, we give up. And it's kind of not doing it that way, doing it, not making that be the focus. Making the focus be on doing the work and growing. I showed a book last week, which was called Steal Like an Artist, by a guy whose name I've forgotten. And then he has another one called Show Your Work Like an Artist, which I've just started reading. And again, it's just about stepping into this space and just showing your stuff, putting it out there, allowing people to find it. Just play, guys. Just do stuff for the love of it, right? And then it doesn't matter if you suck, because you're growing and you're learning. So that's why I just wanted to check in and sort of put that out there. Would love to hear your thoughts. If there's stuff that you are working on, that you're growing through, that you're limiting beliefs, that you're kind of shifting or recognizing that you have first, because that's the first step. And then maybe we can talk about how to change them. Hi, Jason Felix. Thank you for the wave. Hi, Josh. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Leo. Hi, Kevin. Josh says, that's a very important point, Ione, recognizing that negative voice in your head. Yes, 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 we must recognize it and know that it is not us and that we can change it. Jeff says, I try not to have these arguments with myself, lol, but it's easy to do, I know. Yes, isn't it so insane that we have these made up arguments with people? One thing that I've noticed that's really not been serving me in relationships is I end up having fantasies about relationships, right? I will meet a dude. And then before you know it, I've told this whole story about how we're living together and about how this is happening and about how that's happening. And it's really dangerous because it sets up these, it sets up expectations. And then, you know, when we're not moving in together after 3 weeks and getting married and like doing whatever, then I'm disappointed and it's ridiculous. So it's just getting into that habit of listening and observing those thoughts. We need to start, there's our being, right? There's our essence, which I spoke to Dr. Andrea Pennington about on Tuesday in the podcast and the interview. It's that recognizing that this what we are is not the body, is not the ego and the thoughts and all this mind. It's kind of like removing all of these labels, all these baggage, and being gentle with it as well. You can do this with meditation. You can do this with all sorts of practices. And just removing those layers, those conditioned ideas, all that type of stuff, those, traumas that are inside us and stressing us out, all that stuff. And then just kind of being that light, that divine energy, that thing, and just being in that space, observing everything. When you have a judgment about something, when you're annoyed about something, when you have an opinion about something, that's the ego, right? And so it's okay. Like, we need that. We have our mind to think and create. We've created an amazing world. We've done a lot of stuff as humans, but it's kind of consuming us. So just be mindful. Like, whenever you're feeling all over the place, try and come back. I just imagine myself as just light, right? Not body. Just a source of light, energy, love, whatever you want to call it. Just observing all of this stuff that's happening around. And that kind of brings me calm. Let me know what you think about that. It's a bit out there as an idea, guys. Love to know your thoughts. Jeff says it's Austin Kleon, the author. Yes, thank you. For some reason, I think he lives in Austin. And that's why I didn't think his name was Austin, because I was like, that's so weird, Austin from Austin. I mean, it's whatever it is. Leo says, I am too hard on myself and it keeps me back. Yes, you are, oh, Leo. You are. I would say addressing what those limiting beliefs are and addressing what it is that the things that you are hard on yourself. And then I want you to imagine that you are your own best friend. Right? And you are talking to yourself as a little boy that needs to be just loved and taken care of. And the way that we talk to ourselves and the way that we're so harsh to ourselves is horrible. It's really horrible sometimes, the things that we say and think about ourselves. And so when you are feeling, when you're starting to kind of go down that, shame spiral, somebody said recently, which I really liked, or like, going off on one about, you're this or this or this. I'd like you to imagine yourself as a little boy and then be your own best friend. Be that loving, caring person that just soothes and comforts and helps and encourages and, says that it's okay and says that, when you're not happy about something, that's okay. You can learn from it. You can grow from it. Be that loving voice to yourself. And the more you practice doing this, the more that like negative, horrible one will change. Because it's just a habit. It's a habit. Our thoughts are just incessant. And I have been in such a dark place. And I know that depression for me is that, and having suicidal thoughts. It's that voice that is telling you that things are awful. You're not good enough. You're not worth it. I can't do this, or whatever it is. That's the thoughts, and you can change them. So get into the habit of being that loving, caring person for you. JC says, Passover is a great time to talk about overcoming the ego that we are enslaved to and being a source of light. Amazing thoughts. Yes. Is that Passover? I was going to say, when does that start? Passover starts tomorrow evening here in Israel. It's a whole week. Yes. That's a fantastic idea. Using this week to use that to kind of work on doing this. I've started getting into the habit of doing morning runs, daily runs, just to get my heart rate up. I interviewed Ashok Gupta, really awesome English guy, a few weeks ago. And one of the advice that he gave to me is it's not about walking 10,000 steps a day. It's about it's more about getting your heart rate up and getting yourself out of breath. And so I've been doing my little morning run every day. I think is a great exercise for Passover. Personally, I'm going to be doing the running every day, and then making sure that I do the meditating every day, just getting into that space. So yes. Jeff says, I just read an article about how everything is made of energy and that we too are energy. It ties into your idea that we are all influenced by the energies around us. So surround yourself with positive energy. I hugged a friend at the bowling alley and she did not let go. I asked if she was okay and she said, I just needed more of your energy. That's really, really beautiful. Yes, we are energy, 100%. Can you share that article, Jeff? I'd really love to read it. Again, that ties into stuff Dr. Andrea and I were talking about on Tuesday. It also ties into a lot of the stuff that Donnie Epstein talks about. He's my go-to energy person whenever I'm talking about energy, because it's everything. Joshua says, what calms me is realizing that I have no control over anybody else's actions. I have no right to expect someone to be nice to me. I have no right to expect someone to say hi back to me. I have no right to expect them to agree with me. So it's in realizing that I am in control of only me and my thoughts and my actions that helps me calm down. That's fantastic. And I definitely need to work on doing that more of myself, just being in that space too of not being bothered and stressed out by what everyone says. What I'm finding is my need to be right. And that is a very ego thing. The experience that I'm having with this one particular woman who, says that I'm aggressive. I was aggressive and rude. I just feel very bothered that she thinks that way. And so I felt like I need her to know that she's wrong and I'm right because I wasn't aggressive and rude. And again, even that in itself is kind of aggressive and rude. But at the end of the day, who cares? I'm going to start talking about my time with Chris Voss and Steve Schul yesterday at this negotiation workshop. And one of the things that they kept saying, which I loved, was, a lot of people would get up and ask questions. It's like, I want them to know this. And they were like, who cares? Who cares what you want? It's about what they want. And so that was really interesting because it's, I want this woman to know that I'm right. Who cares? Who cares what she thinks? Who cares what I want if I want her to know that I didn't do this and blah, 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 blah. And then you can because that was kind of driving the way that I wanted to have this conversation. So that was interesting. Hi, Andrea. Olia says, I believe in the power of attraction theory or the secret. You really have to see what you want to go for it. Yep. Yes, you do. Joshua says, need to be right. I suffer from that also. So it's great that you recognize that in yourself. Yeah. Awareness is the first step. We're not perfect. I am definitely not perfect. But I can grow from all of these things. So it's just about just focusing on that stuff. Whenever you're feeling stressed and anxious, what are the thoughts you're thinking? Because that's what's causing this. Whenever I start to go off into these fairy tale stories about relationships or what I want in life, I have to catch myself and bring it back because that's setting up unreasonable expectations. Every time I start to have arguments with people in my head and because I'm so wronged and I feel they have to be wronged, I have to make me right and them wrong. You have to stop and bring it back because it's just putting out that kind of wrong type of energy that you don't need. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't achieve anything. And it's just, not good in any way. Excuse me. Jeff says, sure, make me work. Sorry about that. It was shared by one of the, he's looking for the article. It was shared by one of the great websites I like on Facebook. I will see if I can find it. I shared the hug story because I often believe that we study, read, think something, and then the world tends to reinforce that idea with an example, like with my friend. I like that. Josie says, hi, Jeff. In Kabbalah, we call it the influence of the environment. Here's an article about it. Thanks for sharing, Josie. Eddie says, hi, from Fresno, California. Hey, Eddie, how's it going in Fresno, California? Olea says, I think we also have to have the right people around us emotionally and physically. They can be like fuel on your journey to self. Oh, I 100% agree. Who are you surrounding yourself by? They really do influence and shape a lot of what's going on. We're the sum of the 5 people closest to us. Which always really resonated with me. Who are you surrounding yourself with? One of the things I posted on social the other day was a quote that was, if you are the smartest or the most talented person in the room, find another room. You're not going to learn from people. You're not going to learn or grow if you are the smartest person in the room. So constantly be seeking circles and groups of people and experiences or events or whatever it is that you can grow and learn from. Because if you're just sort of in your circle, and nobody's really kind of growing or getting anything from it, that's where you're going to stay. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think you need to ignore people or disconnect from people unless they're not serving you, unless their energy is really, not good or it's toxic. You can still maintain relationships with certain people, but if they're not where you want to be, and you want more, then it's okay to kind of seek out that community, meet those people, be around those people that inspire you, because that's what you want. You want those people that lift you up and help you grow. So yeah, go for that. Hey, Andrea, she says, I realized that my need to be right was creating more drama and suffering. It's about staying energized and in peace rather than tension or struggle. I totally agree. And I have to keep checking myself, and I'm working through this. It's fascinating. Every time I'm faced with a challenge like this sort of relationship with this woman, I'm looking at how is the best way to deal with it. Because there's still in me the need to be right and to make her wrong. But I also don't like the tension and the kind of awkwardness energy that's there. And so I'm kind of going through this whole thing of, should I just ignore her and leave it? Again, that's not kind of dissipating the energy. I don't really want her as a friend because I just don't like the way that, I'm not a fan of kind of how those types of ways of being. So then it's like, it's just difficult, right? But it's working through that. And yeah, you're right. Finding, and then who cares? Maybe it's just about finding that peace, and just kind of letting go to any of this and not making it such a big deal. I'll let you know how it goes. We're maybe speaking next week. Jeff says, I agree. Oh, who's oh? We spent some time talking, and it always amazes me, like our WhatsApp talk, how we all sync well with each other and we can share how we dealt with something or how we can share dreams, like what we see on the 100 list. Yes, he's talking about a little group that we have of people that connect and chat, and how it's so important to kind of be there to inspire and uplift people, each other, and putting down the things that we want. Also, just guys, I wanted to make a little announcement. I was speaking to Oleo about this recently. He wants to travel more and wants to find groups of people to travel with, and other people that have the same kind of passions and interests. And I was speaking to a wonderful guy called Brady from Live Before Work travel agency. And I don't know why I went up like that. It was a bit weird, agency. And we were talking about getting some uplifting content tours set up. So trips in which we can go out and travel together and do sort of personal development stuff, as well as volunteering and giving back and things like that. So stay tuned for that later in the year, because what I really want is to get people off the internet and connected with each other. So that's coming. Olivia says, reached a point in my life where I don't need to be right. I just need to be happy. That is beautiful. Andrea says, and certainly our energy and vitality is our responsibility. It 100% is. And then every time we're, angry or worked up or trying to be right or trying to prove a point, that definitely brings down the energy. So yeah, I need to focus on that instead. Aaliyah says, cool, Peru first. Joshua says, tours, awesome idea. Yes, it's going to be really, really cool. I can captain the boat in a few years. Oh, Joshua, the first one actually is going to be, I'm going to be speaking at one, will be a yacht trip in Croatia. So that will actually be the first one. So maybe there's ways that we can kind of get you involved in that. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is yesterday, I went to I went to see Chris Voss and Steve Schul, who is a coach for realtors. And Steve had organized this event with a bunch of his clients, all these different realtors. It's just such a funny word. We don't say that in England. We say estate agents. And it was, I'd gone because I absolutely love Chris. I've read his book. I'm obsessed with his book. It's called Never Split the Difference. It's about the art of negotiation. And I absolutely love it. And I wanted to go and meet Chris in person because I've interviewed him and just see what his workshop was like. And I was so excited to go. I didn't really realize that it was for real estate people. However, it did not matter at all. Everything that he talks about, everything that they're talking about, I mean, it's fantastic for real estate people because it applies to their work so well. But what he talks about relates to every single person. And it's all about negotiation. Kind of has like a negative connotation, but what he tends to do is it's not about, going in there and screwing someone over. It's about going in there and building rapport, connecting with people, and getting all of the information from them about, where they're at, what they want. And not necessarily even about just money negotiations, just negotiating in relationships. If somebody's ignoring you, how that you can get back in, how you can kind of get into contact with them again. One of the things that I love, that the techniques that he talks about, is a lot of times in sales, people are always driven to yes, right? They're told that you always have to get to yes. And that's something that we've been programmed to do. If they say yes, that means they're going to buy it or whatever. He says the complete opposite. Chris is the complete opposite of that. And so a great example that I like from the book is, he says, if somebody cold calls you and they're like, hey, is this Ione? And I'm like, yes. Do you drink water? Yes. Do you like your water to be clean and fresh? Yes. You're annoyed because you're being forced into a corner. You're being forced to say yes. And that's irritating, right? You're not making the decision. And so what he does is, he always says, go for the no's first. Because when you give them the no, it's like they're making the choice to say no, and it kind of puts them in a position of power. So you kind of rephrase questions to give them a no question. So for example, you would say to somebody, is this a bad time for you? And then that lets them decide, no, it's okay. Or like, no, it's not a bad time. Or if it is a bad time, if you've given them that choice, and there's all these different, real estate people that he was using as examples. And one woman said she always leads with that. She said, oh, it seems like it's a bad time. It seems like it's a bad time with you. What I have to say would take 5 minutes. And then, is this a bad time? And then people will, even if it is a bad time, because you've given them that choice, because you've kind of been upfront and you've not gone in there demanding anything from them. A lot of the time, she said, people will say, it is a bad time, but if it's only 5 minutes, sure. And so I just love it. It's such a great book. And, I've been kind of thinking about it with how I deal with, relationships or people or business things. It's absolutely fantastic. He is an absolute legend. This is Chris Voss, by the way. So yes. We're talking. I love it. We're still talking about the uplifting content adventures on the chat. So that's awesome. So yeah, absolutely love Chris Voss. Never Split the Difference is the book, and I'll put a link to the interview that I did with him in the comment section below here, because it was mind blowing. And I feel like if we all kind of get a little bit better at trying to understand each other, and really get to the core of what's going on with people, it will make life a lot easier for us. It will make business a lot better for us. Interestingly, I had a chat with a friend of mine that came with me yesterday, and she was talking about she doesn't like the idea that it's manipulative. And I get her. She says you should be authentic. You should just ask things, for the sake of asking them, and be real and authentic. And I get that, and I agree. But knowing these things, knowing that, how to diffuse a situation, knowing how to pose a question to make it easier for somebody to answer, or feel like they're more in control by answering the question, in making things easier for you so as not to provoke things. Having those skills and techniques is invaluable. Is that right? Is that invaluable? Did I just undermine it? Is incredibly valuable. I get confused with my words sometimes. Anyway, so that was my experience with Chris. I think I'm going to go back today. I've got some videos to shoot, but I'm going to go back this afternoon. So I've been putting it on the old chats and stuff like that. So have a little look-sees at that. Jeff says, sales calls annoy me. I think it's my age. I know what I need and what I want and do my own research to solve the situation. I do not need to be sold. Commercials or calls, emails tend to irk me. Oh yeah, I totally agree. But if somebody, I don't like being cold called at all. Don't like it. But I think that just if somebody said, if somebody had actually just called and said, is now a bad time to talk? I wanted to ask you about this. I probably would shift my opinion about it. I might be more open to having that conversation, because they're giving me the chance to decide rather, hi, how are you today? How's it going? Stupid questions that waste my time, and I don't want it. I don't even want to be having this conversation anyway. But yeah, giving people the option is amazing. But yeah, one thing that's really irking me right now is automated phone calls where it's not even a human. They're just they're just spamming your phone with calls. That's really not cool. Hi, Ben. He says, hello, happy Thursday. Another great day to be alive. That's the spirit. Yes, it is. I love that energy, Ben. What do you wake up with? And what do you wake up and do? And like, does that come through all the time? I just love it. Tiffany, hi. Hello, love. I've been listening, but I'm at work, so I can't type a lot on a quick break now. Hey, gorgeous. Thanks so much for checking in. Lovely to see you. Olia says, don't forget to send me your WhatsApp number and add to the group. There we go. Love it. Group chats. So that was it for today, lovelies. I'm going to, anything else that you want to check in on before I sign off? I'm going to be making a video based on some of your recommendations moving forward. So if there's anything that you would like, one of them I'm going to be doing is about how to get over breakups or getting over people. Another one that Simone talks about a lot is how to stop comparing yourself to others. And would love to hear from you guys if there's any other things that you would like to discuss. Also, another great thing is if there's people that you think would make great interviews for the Facebook Lives and for the Uplifting Content Podcast, let me know. Definitely love to get them on a chat. So yeah, feel free to share your comments and suggestions. And then Ben just says, oh man, I'm a bear to get out of bed, but once I'm up, I'm obnoxiously upbeat. I love that. What happens? What happens from that like groggy bear get out of bed to the obnoxiously upbeat person? Can't wait to meet you in person. That sounds hilarious. Oh yes, and happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter to you too, Olio. Enjoy your long weekend for those of you that get it. In the States, it doesn't really exist like that. There's not a Good Friday or anything, but it's okay. All right, you lovely souls, have a fantastic long weekend if you're getting one, or a regular weekend if you've just got the 2 days. I will see you back on Tuesday for a Facebook Live. Can't remember who it's with, but I will find out. And yeah, take care. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Uplifting Content Podcast with me, Ione Butler. I record these episodes live on the Uplifting Content Facebook page every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. So if you want to be part of the conversation, join our Facebook Live to share your thoughts and questions. Make sure that you're subscribed so that you get updated with the latest episodes twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. And if you enjoy the podcast, please leave a review on iTunes. It really helps us to reach more people and more listeners. So once you've done a review, email us a screenshot of your review to info@upliftingcontent.com and we will send you a special gift to say thank you. Lastly, the only way that you'll ever get notified from me is if you sign up for my weekly-ish email, which will have information about all our giveaways, what I'm up to, who's coming up on the interviews, just all the good stuff that you don't want to miss. So that's it. We'll have links to all that information in the show notes, and I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you on the lives perhaps soon. Bye.